Imagine barricading a heavy wooden door against a squad of heavily armed killers.
Right, yeah.
And knowing that your best chance of survival isn't actually fighting them. Your best chance is to literally jump into a pitch-black abyss filled with the whispering voices of your worst life failures.
Which is just terrifying.
It really is, and that's the impossible choice we're looking at today. So, welcome to our deep dive into a very specific, incredibly intense session log. It's officially titled Session 7A.
Yeah, we are dissecting the anatomy of survival today. But, not just physical survival.
Right.
We're talking about survival under immense, crushing psychological pressure. We're going to trace this deeply harrowing transition from absolute chaos to, well, temporary safety.
And we're really focusing on that terrifying reality where your internal demons are far more dangerous than the literal monsters beating down the door.
Exactly.
So let's unpack this and get you situated. It's approaching midnight. We are deep beneath the ruined foundations of a place called Tresendar Manor.
And the adventurers we are tracking are just battered and bleeding at this point.
Oh, severely. And just down the hall, there's a gang of human mercenaries, the Redbrands, and they're actively splintering the heavy wooden doors with their swords, trying to break in.
Yeah, and huddled in the corner of this dark, dusty room are the terrified surviving members of the Dendrar family. We've got the mother, Mirna, and her two kids, Nilsa and Nars.
Which is where the emotional stakes just skyrocket, because
Yeah.
this team isn't just trying to survive a standard dungeon run anymore.
No, not at all. They're carrying the immense weight of protecting innocent civilians, all while being critically injured themselves.
Right.
They've barricaded themselves in this room filled with sarcophagi. They have an unconscious mercenary they captured, and the clock is just ticking so loudly.
I want you to think about the last time you played a video game with an escort mission. Usually the frustration is purely mechanical, right?
Oh, like when the NPC gets stuck on a wall?
Exactly. You're annoyed because they keep stepping on traps. But here, the frustration is replaced by genuine terror because the psychology is real. These are traumatized people freezing up.
Yeah, they're paralyzed by fear.
Which brings up something I just don't fully understand about the opening moments of this session. You have the party trapped, and Treshtog, the half-orc barbarian, is screaming that they need to get the Dendrar family out of the manor immediately.
Right, he's this massive, physically imposing warrior fueled by rage. But his instinct here is the logical survival imperative. Get the civilians off the X.
Exactly. Flee. But then you have Chiron. He's a tiefling rogue, someone with this infernal heritage who relies on shadows and stealth, and Chiron stubbornly ignores the mercenaries at the door.
He completely fixates on a crypt shaft in the room.
Yes.
Right.
He knows there are undead skeletons down there, so he enlists Merwin, a small rock gnome wizard, and Ujovic, the cleric, to help him pour lamp oil down this shaft and set it on fire.
To burn the skeletons.
Right. And they spend 5 agonizing minutes doing this. Why? I mean, they are under attack right now. Why focus on the skeletons?
Well, it seems completely irrational tactically, but psychologically, it's a brilliant defense mechanism.
Wait, really? How so?
You have to look at their environment. They are trapped, they're exhausted, and severely injured. Chiron is experiencing what psychologists call cognitive tunneling.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when you're terrified and the situation is completely uncontrollable, your brain just desperately seeks out a problem it actually can solve.
So fleeing means admitting you're at the mercy of the environment.
Exactly. Fiddling with oil and fire, it gives you the illusion of productivity. It keeps the panic at bay.
Think about that in your own life. Think about the last time you were under immense professional or personal pressure. Did you ever hyperfixate on organizing your desk or deleting old emails?
Right, just doing busy work.
Yeah, that is your version of pouring oil down the crypt shaft. It's the illusion of control. And in this session, that illusion just shatters completely.
Oh, it fails spectacularly. They scavenge the oil, toss it down the dark shaft, ignite it with magic. They just wait. 5 minutes pass. The fog down in the shaft dissipates to reveal the floor. The fire consumes the oil and burns out, and there is absolutely no sign of the skeletons being destroyed.
Wow. So the threat remains entirely unchanged.
Completely unchanged. And meanwhile, Treshtog's urgency to flee isn't just tactical either, is it?
No, it's deeply personal. It's driven by this weaponized guilt. Treshtog lived in the nearby town of Phandelver. He helped fend off goblin raids there.
But more importantly, he already failed to save his friend.
Yes, Thel Dendrar, the father of this family. Thel was murdered by these exact mercenaries. and Threshtog couldn't stop it.
So Threshtog is operating purely on a desperate need for redemption. I mean, if he loses Thel's family, he loses the last shred of his own self-worth.
Exactly. So we have this absolute pressure cooker in the basement. One half of the team paralyzed by the illusion of control, the other half frantic with guilt.
But the contrast between the chaos in that room and what's happening just above them is completely jarring.
Totally. Because while they're trapped, we shift to follow a different character entirely. The Timekeeper.
Yeah, the Timekeeper is a Lightfoot halfling cleric. Small, nimble, and just methodically calm.
Right. He'd been away in the town above, completing a divine quest for an artifact called the Orb of Premonition.
So he returns to town totally unaware of the nightmare unfolding beneath the manor.
Yeah, he speaks to a local woman, Quelline Alderleaf, who tells him his friends were chased into the ruins hours ago. Now, if I'm playing a game or watching a movie, this is the moment the hero just sprints directly into the danger zone.
Kicking down doors, yeah.
Right. Quelline even tells him there's a hidden tunnel into the basement, but warns him it's full of nasties, monsters. But Timekeeper doesn't rush into that tunnel.
Because rushing is a symptom of panic. Timekeeper basically surrenders the need to force a rapid solution and simply observes.
He takes a breath.
Exactly. He eschews the disorderly, monster-filled tunnel entirely. He follows the main path to the ruined manor, sneaks quietly down the stairs, and he actually hears the mercenaries bashing the doors where his friends are trapped.
But instead of attacking blindly, he scouts the adjacent rooms, and he finds an empty storeroom.
And because he actually looks at his environment, he spots a secret door.
It's an oddly colored flagstone in the wall, right?
Yeah. He pushes it, and it swings silently open into a dark, quiet passageway that bypasses the mercenaries entirely.
Which changes the entire survival calculus for the team. Just by maintaining his composure, he finds the one safe artery in an otherwise chaotic system.
But the physical environments are about to mirror the mental states of these characters in a truly terrifying way.
Yeah, because Timekeeper is sneaking through a quiet, physically dark passage. He even has to light a torch because he doesn't have inherent night vision.
But as he does that, the rest of the party finally abandons their barricaded room and enters a natural cavern.
And the darkness in this cavern isn't just physical, it is profoundly psychological.
This is really the turning point of the narrative. Threshtog, the barbarian, scouts ahead into this massive natural cavern.
And the geography is crucial here. It's divided by a 20-foot deep chasm, spanned by two rickety, arched wooden bridges.
And at the bottom of this crevasse, a mysterious mist begins to rise.
Let's break down exactly what this mist does, because it doesn't just obscure vision, it is actually telepathic.
Yeah, it actively scans their surface thoughts and weaponizes their deepest traumas against them.
So Threshtog is walking along the ledge, and he starts feeling this buzzing in his head. Then a distinct voice whispers directly into his mind. You are a failure. You let your friend Thel die. I wonder if you're going to fail with your party next. It's only a matter of time.
The cavern's primary mechanism isn't physical damage. It's isolation. It makes you feel completely alone, even when you're surrounded by allies.
And it goes after Chiron, too.
Oh yeah, Chiron's core motivation is that his father was murdered, and he travels the world seeking answers. So the voice in the mist whispers, you couldn't save your father. Your father died trying to protect you.
Ugh, that's brutal. It even targets Merwin, the gnome wizard. He was only recently rescued by this group from a goblin cave. The mist uses his own voice to warn him that these new friends are getting sick of saving his life and are going to abandon him.
It's awful.
I was thinking it's like a malicious social media algorithm. Imagine an algorithm that has perfectly mapped all of your deepest insecurities, your worst fears, and feeds you content exclusively designed to break your spirit.
That analogy is spot on. And the physical danger of that psychological isolation, it manifests instantly.
Because Threshtog is being told by the voices, kill them quick, someone's coming, so his paranoia just spikes.
He's twitchy, and he's holding a massive Morningstar weapon they captured from a bugbear named Clark.
Which leads to the most incredibly tense reunion imaginable. You have Timekeeper walking down his quiet tunnel with a torch. Threshtog sees this light coming toward him in the dark.
And Threshtog flattens himself against the wall, but he accidentally lets the Morningstar scrape against the stone.
Timekeeper hears the scrape, spots the massive arm, recognizes the weapon, and loud whispers, Threshtog, is that you?
But Threshtog's reality is so distorted by the voice in his head telling him he's under attack, he steps forward and swings this lethal weapon wildly into the dark.
Right at his friend's head. It is only at the absolute last microsecond, as Timekeeper ducks, that Threshcog registers Timekeeper's flamboyant, colorful clothing.
He pulls the blow back and barely misses obliterating him.
It's a phenomenal depiction of how trauma makes us lash out at the people trying to save us.
A near-fatal friendly fire incident. And it beautifully, tragically sets up the climax of this sequence. Because right after they reunite and Timekeeper tells them he found a safe path out, the real physical threat finally catches up.
The Redbrands. 3 human mercenaries suddenly appear at the top of the stairs across the chasm. They've broken through the barricades, tracked the party, and immediately unleash a volley of crossbow bolts.
Yeah, one of them hits Threshcog right in the chest.
This sparks a highly dynamic battle dictated entirely by the spatial layout of the cavern. The party is using the stone pillars for cover. Dane, a mountain dwarf fighter, fires an arrow, misses, and ducks back behind a column.
Merwin casts a firebolt, which is this desperate, quick release of arcane energy. It grazes a pillar, but still sears a mercenary.
And Timekeeper, leaning around the corner, casts a spell called Mind Sliver.
Oh, that spell is wild.
It really is. It isn't just a physical projectile. It's a psychic spike driven directly into the target's cognitive functions. The sensory detail here is so intense he uses the spell, and the mercenary's brain is so overloaded that blood just starts pouring from his eyes before he collapses.
Meanwhile, Chiron is sniping with his bow from behind the columns, picking off another mercenary. But the most crucial tactical move comes from Jovic, the cleric.
Yeah, he'd been protecting the Dendrar family in the back.
Exactly. But he bravely abandons his secure spot. He races forward into the line of fire to use his preserve life ability. It's essentially channeling a wave of divine energy, like a magical defibrillator, to heal Threshcog, who is absorbing massive damage.
But here is the heartbreaking reality. You can heal physical wounds, but you cannot cast a spell to heal the psychological damage taking place in Threshcog's head.
He is at his absolute breaking point.
Yeah, he fully believes the Dark Voice's taunt that he is destined to get this family killed. So he makes a sacrificial play. He yells to the party, "Get Mirna and the kids out of here, save them!"
And in a blind rage, he charges across the rickety wooden bridge directly at the remaining mercenaries.
And this is where the physical environment perfectly mirrors his mental collapse. As he rushes across, the ancient wood gives way.
The bridge collapses entirely.
It plunges the heavy barbarian 20 feet down into the chasm, right into that thigh-high telepathic mist. The broken remnants of the bridge are just hanging uselessly against the cavern walls.
It is a devastating fall. And to make matters worse, as Threshcog hits the ground, Merwin looks over the edge and sees something moving in the mist.
Skeletons.
Yeah, they're approaching from underneath a distant bridge in the crevasse. The mist is thick, the undead are closing in, and Threshcog is severely injured and trapped at the bottom.
This moment at the bottom of the chasm is the ultimate case study in the contrast between internal doubt and unwavering external support. Threshcog is down there, surrounded by mist, and the voice is relentless. It tells him, "This is what you deserve. You failed yet again."
He is gripped by complete and utter self-doubt. Above him, Jovic drops rope down and ties it to the wooden supports.
Threshcog shakily stands up, takes the rope in his hands, and tries to climb. But he fails, slips and falls back down into the mist, landing prone.
And, I don't think he failed because of his physical injuries. I think he failed because he actually believes the voice telling him he belongs down there.
He is completely defeated.
I agree. The failure to climb is psychological. But this isolated despair is met with an incredible display of team cohesion. The party refuses to validate his internal narrative.
They do not leave him behind. Chiron is gathering the traumatized family, urging everyone to get Threshcog and move.
Yeah.
Dane grabs the rope.
They physically intervene. Dane, Jovic, and Merwin, so a dwarf, an angelic cleric, and a tiny gnome, plant their feet and pull on the rope from above.
Threshcog isn't climbing at this point. He is just holding on. He is literally being hauled out of his own darkness by his community.
They drag the massive barbarian all the way up, out of the mist, and he collapses onto the stone floor next to Dane, just panting heavily.
And Dane, with classic dwarven stoicism, pats him on the back and delivers this witty, iconic line, "Welcome to the world of the living."
That line is so good.
It gave me chills, because it perfectly encapsulates what keeping someone alive actually means. It's not just handing them a health potion, it's physically pulling them back to reality when their mind is trying to bury them.
And the mechanics of the world reward this unity. Once Threshcog is out of the mist, The immediate threat of the skeletons neutralizes itself.
Right, without a target wandering in the mist, Dane and Merwin look down and see the skeletons just meandering aimlessly. They lost their objective.
Which allows the party to finally make their escape to temporary safety. Timekeeper leads them back through the secret flagstone door he found earlier.
And it is a remarkably close call. As they sneak up the stairs to the ground level, they hear the remaining Redbrands completely splinter and smash through the barricades in the rooms they just abandoned.
They get out to the surface, breathing the fresh night air of Phandelver, but the emotional toll of this escape is staggering.
They face an exhausting trek through the dark streets. They have to actively avoid the Sleeping Giant Inn, knowing the Redbrands use it as a base. Dane suggests they head toward the home of an orchard owner named Darren Edermath, hoping for sanctuary.
You really see the physical and emotional exhaustion manifesting here, particularly in the civilians. Nilsa, the teenage daughter, is actively shutting down.
Yeah, the layered trauma of the kidnapping, the murder of her father, and this terrifying, violent escape has triggered a dissociative state. She can barely put one foot in front of the other.
It requires active magical intervention just to keep her moving. The Jovic has to cast Healing Word, which is essentially vocalizing a frequency of divine comfort that knits minor wounds and soothes the nervous system.
And Merwin uses a mend spell molecularly stitching the torn fabric of her damaged clothes just to give her a small shred of dignity and warmth.
That's such a tender, practical use of magic in a brutal situation.
And it's during this desperate walk through the dark streets that we arrive at a profound realization. Mirna, the mother, reveals a heartbreaking detail to the group. The entire reason they were targeted by the mercenaries in the first place was because her late husband, Tel, had a hidden heirloom, a jeweled dagger.
The mercenaries ransacked their home and kidnapped the family, hoping to force them to reveal its location.
And Mirna realizes that to survive, to buy food and find a new home after all of this, they are going to have to sell that very same heirloom. I want you to really absorb the irony of that.
The exact mechanism of their ultimate trauma, the item that got the father killed and the family kidnapped, is the exact currency required for their future survival.
It is a devastating paradox. Often the thing that breaks your life apart is the very thing you have to leverage to rebuild it. It is so heavy.
It is the ultimate survivor's burden.
They finally reach Darren Edermath's house. It is dark, completely light-proofed with heavy shutters and locked tight.
Karen picks the lock on the back door. They shuffle inside, find the house empty, barricade the door behind them, and just collapse on the floor to rest.
It is the first moment of true quiet they have had in hours. I want you to reflect on how shared trauma bonds a group like this. This session opened with them arguing heatedly, wasting time throwing oil down a shaft, isolated in their own panic.
And it ends with them literally, physically dragging each other out of an abyss, working in unison to protect a family that represents all of their shared failures and hopes.
They didn't survive because they had perfect tactical plans. I mean, the oil plan failed. They survived because they refused to let the psychological isolation win.
They became each other's anchor to reality.
Okay, so if you are listening to this, you are probably feeling the immense relief of this safe house right now. The party is asleep, the door is barricaded, they are safe, but we cannot let you go without the final twist of the session log.
The cliffhanger.
Dawn breaks outside. The light-proofed house remains pitch black inside. Suddenly, the handle of the barricaded back door rattles.
Oh, no.
The door pushes open against the barricade, and Darren Edermath, the owner of the house, walks into his own living room. He stops, completely shocked, to find an armed, bloodied party of adventurers and traumatized civilians illegally squatting on his neat, tidy floor.
And all he can manage to ask is, what's going on?
It perfectly punctuates the absurdity of their reality. There's no neat, clean ending where the credits roll. The world keeps turning, and they still have to explain themselves.
Which brings us back to where we started today, thinking about the anatomy of survival.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, something to explore on your own. When the literal monsters are finally defeated and you reach the temporary safety of a locked room, does the silence of that safe space make those dark, whispered voices of self-doubt louder, or do they finally begin to fade away?
That is the true challenge of the survivor. The battle in the mind often outlasts the battle in the cavern.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden layers of Session 7. We invite you to keep exploring the psychological depths of the stories you love. And remember, the most vital piece of survival gear you have might just be the people willing to pull your rope.